it's Kim here once again with Kim's Homestead, and we're in Victoria, Australia. So we're back out in the fernery today, and I've been to Bunnings again, and I've also picked up a few bits and pieces elsewhere. Some of the plants were on Facebook and some I actually got in the supermarket. So what have I got? Well, first of all, we're going to think about planting up the two ponds that I've got. And I have, let's see, I have some watercress. I've got two big bunches of watercress. Now their roots are quite matted in a, looks like a wool thing that they do hydroponics in. It's quite matted in there. Shut up and go away. Inconsiderate sods, aren't they? Okay, so let's just take out some of that wool matting. It's okay if you break off the roots a little bit. There's quite a lot of roots there, and that will just compost down. That's one. Let's see. Here's the other one. And you can see the roots quite matted in this block, but there's quite a lot of them. Right, so that's two. So what we'll do is just break it into a few bits and pieces. And I thought about putting this in the sand part of the filter, because they quite like that sand part. And I've also got some water chestnuts. They're up in the other pond at the moment. And I've got an arum lily, and a couple of other things too. I can't remember what now. So this one here, I'll put in this one. And what I also have to go in there is I picked up some mixed lettuce. This has just been sitting in the little water for a few hours. The mixed lettuce, what I will do is plant it out into little individual pots, and I'll just pop them. I won't plant it in the sand, but I will push the pots down into the sand so it can draw up whatever water it wants, and that way it's in the soil but it can draw up whatever water it needs. So there's those ones, and I'll be splitting that probably between the two sand filters I've got in my ponds. Let's see, I've got this one here. It's an elephant ear, which I'll be putting into a large pot, and I'll be placing that around the pond here, not in the pond but just around close to it. And as it grows it will produce little puplets, and I'll plant up some of those and put them also in big pots around the pond, and that will help fill up the pond area with nice big leafy plants without actually having to plant them in the ground. I don't want to do that because I don't want to clog up the gravel that I'll be putting in. Then what I have in those large pots, because that plant is so small, what I have is some of these hypothesis or something. Yeah. Anyway, some of them, they look pretty. They come in all different colours. I do have a darker pink one of these, so I can take bits off of that one as well and plant it up. So that'll be nice. They do die back to pretty well nothing during the late winter stages, but they do come back, and actually they can be a little bit of a weed if you allow them to, but being in pots they should be fairly well confined. Then I've got a nice, what we used to call a fishbone fern or herringbone fern. This is just to put up on one of the hangers there, so that will also be confined and hopefully not run away. Then I have a calathea, so that'll be a nice little one. This is for inside the fernery here, so I think it'll make a nice little addition to the fernery. And the young ones I can plant up and pot up. I can give the young ones away as presents or sell them. Now I also got mother-in-law's tongue, which I know it's not a shade house plant, but I thought it would be nice on this table actually as a centerpiece, where I can just maybe take it inside occasionally, pop it into a nice planter and put it inside as a centerpiece or somewhere else as a centerpiece. I've always wanted one of these. I don't know why. They're not really a very attractive plant, but I've always wanted one, and they were going cheap. Now what I also have is this little guy here. He got a little bit leaf burnt, but we'll fix that up. He is a croton. So I thought that'd be nice. It's lots of colour and shades of pink, which will match those other little things, and also should match this little guy too. So that'll be another nice addition, and once again it strikes very easily, so I can add to it later on, or put young ones in pots or sell them. Then I have this little guy. This one's for over near the big pond outside. It's the Aragon. Lots of little daisy type flowers, lots of different colours, very hardy. So the other plants I planted over there just didn't do very well. Unfortunately, we had a day of 43, I think it was, 43, 44, and they all went ugh. So And these ones I have dotted around the yard, and they usually do pretty good even in the hottest weather. So I thought, oh well, go with what you know. So I'll bung them in, see how they go. That's those ones. I also have, where are we? A couple of, that's not it. There we go. A couple of these ones of cilantro, you call it. We call it coriander. So I don't have any coriander plants at the moment, and honestly the coriander that I plant just once again, so I'm going to pop these around the yard, and hopefully I'll have some nice coriander. What I also have inside is spring onions, or some people call them green onions. Now all you do there is just trim up the roots a little bit, cut them down, leave about that much of the white bulb, could be less, doesn't matter, and just plant that and off they go again. And once I've got usually a pot established, I just chop the tops off and just keep chopping the tops off. That's it. Cut it right down to almost ground level, and it grows again very quickly. And usually a pot I keep going for, goodness, about 3 or 4 years. It does try and flower, but I usually chop it off before then. And yeah, I can keep a pot going for a very long time. The last one I had, I actually wanted to do something else with the pot that it was in. It was in a large ceramic pot planter, and I wanted to do something else with it, so the onions had to go. So now I'm ready to plant up a few onions again. And I've got 2 bunches that I bought from the supermarket, and honestly that 2 bunches will keep me going for about 5 or 6 years. So that's the plants that I've got here. So we have a little bit to do. I've got to adjust the water flow on my sand filter here. That's why it's not going. Also I've got to plant up those few things. And yeah, so I'll bring you along with it, and you can help us plant it all out. So what I thought I would do was start with the repotting and get all that done, and then we can start planting it all out. So I'll set you up. I'll set up with some potting stuff, and then we'll get to planting. So here we are. I thought, let's see, I would start with the monstera, get that over and done with. Now, this here is all the scraps from the roots of the plants I dug off. That will become, here I've got some wet native soil that was just in one of the pots. I'll put these roots in here. They'll just become compost and food for the monstera. Here we have the monstera. Now it's been soaked probably now for a couple of days. here I just have some plain old potting mix. It's actually a mixture of potting mix and compost. I'll put in 2 scoops for it, one on either side. Now right here I have some worm compost. I'll just take a scoop of that and I'll put it in with the monstera, and that will give it plenty of food, but we don't want to burn it, so we'll add another layer of compost, and we'll just give that a little mix in. Make sure it's away from the base of the plant. Right, and there we go. We'll just give that a little water in later on when I water all the other plants in. And now I shall just put it in its pot right next to the pond. Right, now got some other pots here. I'll just put a little bit of compost in these pots. And I'll also put in some worm siftings. And that will give the lettuces plenty of something to eat. Now, once again we've been thoroughly soaked, and we'll just break them up. Push it down. And just add in some more around the edges. Here I have a tray which I will put them on because I want to water them in from the bottom first so they're not gulping up a whole heap of water when they get to the pond. Okay, put him in there, smush him down. I think we'll fast forward this. And there we go. Those lettuces are all planted up. Now we'll plant them into this sand filter. That watercress I'll put into the other sand filter. And we'll see what we're going to do with the others. Well, I was going to water these in, but honestly I think they've had enough water. They've been sitting in a bucket of water for the last 2 or 3 days. So I think they can be just placed out. The sand is going to be pretty wet anyway. Okay, so we'll put that one there. Right, so I've just repositioned you, and now we'll get into the pond. I've got to turn up the pond just ever so slightly, and I've got a couple of pond plants to put in there as well. So, first plant is a water lily called Princess of the Night. It's a nice pinky red one. That should cover the pond pump up. And what I also have is an arum lily and some water lettuce. And I think we'll put this one in here. Get out, fishies. Right. Okay. Right. Now what I think I'll do is put a couple of these in too. I think I'll go for this nice pink one. And I think I'll put a white one to the front. So now we shall pot up the coriander. Fill the pot's about halfway full. I'm just using pots that I already had. In goes a good handful of worm poo, actually probably 2 hands. Okay, this one here, see all the roots and everything else, pretty well matted. So there's a few in there. pull off some of these scraggly bits and just fill her up. As you can see, it's a reasonably light, very dry compost potting mix, I mean. Just a multi-purpose mix with a little bit of compost and a little bit of sand to open it up. And there we go, that one's done. Once again, just bung her in. And there we go, she's ready to go. And that I will put over on a little stand I've got here with some water. I'll water it from the bottom and it should be right to go out into the garden in about a week or two. Right, this one here we'll take up to the other pond now and we'll start doing it up a little bit. Right, here's where we have the water chestnuts, and here we have the other bunch of watercress, which I'm going to do pretty much the same as I did with the other one, and I'm just going to hang it over the side so that I can clip it. And I'm going to add the spare sand from these. Interesting to see how these grow underneath. You've got your little water chestnuts and they will grow off there like potatoes. See? There's a new one, just like that. That'll mucky up the water a bit, but soon gets nice and clean again. Right, so in a few months' time that will have some nice water chestnuts and watercress in there for me to eat, and really nice in stir fries. I like to try and cook up Chinese type meals occasionally, and they'll be really nice in that. Got a few to do now. This is a petunia that I had planted up last year. As you can see, he's gone the way most of the plants do. Oh dear. So we'll just take this out. Take off any old matter, and that goes in the compost. Let's just break up all this. And I think we'll put a couple of good handfuls of worm manure in. And give it a bit of a mix up. Right, now this one here, it's an unusual pot. It's a real bugger actually. The only way I can put it up to the post is by zip ties, and unfortunately it got old and they broke. So it's time to put it in a new home. Get rid of the snails that are on it. Give it some untangling and give it some love basically. Nice big fat worm. You can go in there, fella. I'd just shove this in any old way. It'll be fine. Spread it out a bit. Come on, Mr. Worm. Get down in there. That's it. Get to you later. Trying to hang on to everything. Get in there. Tuck your in. Now, don't forget to pick up each of these little guys because they will create new plants and you really don't want them all over the place. So just put them in there, they'll thicken up, create more strings. There you go, they will eventually grow through that and create a whole mass of new strings. All I have to do now is find a nice place to hang it. There we go. Now, we're going to repot this guy into a slightly larger pot. Take his old compost off the top and add some worm compost. Then I can put him back into the pot with some nice fresh compost to top it up. Give him a little bit of room to move and to breathe. And a nice little feed to boot. Right, this little guy will be fine. I've got a pot all ready for him. There we go. And he can sit out here decorating my table. Now, we have a staghorn and a weed. What have we got here? Oh, we've got a new one coming out there. Lots of little spiders, bugger off. See what I mean? Everywhere. Right, so let's see if we can take that from the back there and a slug, get him out. bushing. Get out, you. Go on. Get out. Go on, you. Bugger off. Come on, out you go. Bugger off. Go on, get out of there. Get out. Yeah, you too. Push. I finally went inside and got a nice sharp knife and cut him all up. Now I've got 5 good pieces out of it. So one I'm actually going to glue on the pond, actually 2 I might glue on the pond, and 2 I'm going to mount on these rounds that I got from the tree, the gum tree that was cut down. And I've been waiting for them to weather a little bit. Okay, so let's see, I need a backing. I will use this bit of fabric. It's material that the grow bags are made out of. So I don't need a huge piece. Cut that in half. Right, that's for another one. And if I can find my glue, my little glue gun. maybe I'll do this one. That one looks better. You use a bit of spit on your fingers, the glue doesn't stick to it very well, but as I don't have much spit, makes it a bit harder. So we will just glue this onto that backing. And what we'll do is we'll let this set overnight, and tomorrow what I will do is just tie it on with a little bit of wire and make a wire back for it, nail it in, and then it can be hung up on the wall. Simple as that. Right, that one's almost done. This one here, now I've taken off as much of the outside bark as I could, but just couldn't take it all off, unfortunately. Okay, so we've got this one, or we've got this one. I think that one will be good in the pond. So this one. What I'll do with this one is I'll get some of that grass matting and put it around there and nail it onto this board, and that will support it as well as keeping it moist and giving it, you know, keeping the roots nice and moist. So there's not much more I can do with them until tomorrow. So now with these, see that one there. Right, so what I will do is I'll just turn you around so you can see what's going on. I was going to put it on here, but I got no way of supporting it. So I think I'm going to put it up here and tie it on so that it can be supported until the glue sets. Hopefully that will hold it in place. It's all the glue sets. And let's see. This one here. Might be able to just jam in here. I think with some of that sphagnum moss jammed in there to keep the roots moist. Yeah, I've got plenty of that sphagnum moss, so I'll get some and wet it, and I'll shove in wet sphagnum moss in there, and I'll do enough to shove down in that one too. This is me monstera. So, as I get more and different types, I'll be putting them in. So you get the general idea anyway. Well, that's it for me tonight, guys. Time for me to finish up and go in and have a little slurpee. A few of the plants I've put out, so they will need to be watered in before I go inside. And as I said, these need to be finished off. I'll just cover them with something wet tonight and let them dry, and then they'll need to be finished being put on the boards properly before they can be hung. Couple of the plants I've already hung and planted out, so they'll need to be watered in. It's been a big day. So yes, we'll probably be out here again in a couple of days' time with a bit more planting up, a bit more work to be done. There's a lot of work to do in here, and yeah, getting it done. Anyway, if you like this video, please think about giving me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And if you like the content that I bring you, think about subscribing. That helps my channel out tremendously. Doesn't cost you anything. And yeah, I'll probably see you with another gardening video in the very near future. Alright, bye for now, guys. Okay, just out in the fernery doing some work, planting some plants and so forth, and I see little patches going after what I thought was a grasshopper. Then I thought, oh, I saw the tail and I thought, no, it's a mouse, and guess what? It's the little fella's either brother or sister. So he can go out for a drive as well. So I wonder how many more I've got here. Looks like that door's getting closed off because I'm not having the little darlings wriggle their way inside during the night like its brother or sister did. Alright. Right, here I am back in the state forest. It's a little bit away from where I let its brother or sister go, because I didn't want it in the same territory. So, come on little fella, wherever you are. Let's see if I can get this darn lid off. God, I think I stuck this down with a vengeance. Here we go. Come on, little snaky. Off you go. So, as I said in the last video guys, if you happen to see a snake like that in your yard, don't handle it unless you've had experience handling snakes. I had experience for a few years, not that I would handle a large snake, but as this was only a young one, I was quite confident to handle it. But otherwise, call a snake catcher. Don't kill them. It's actually illegal to kill them in Australia. So find a snake catcher and he'll release it into the wild. Alright guys, hopefully no more brothers and sisters. Bye for now.